I'm not a fair girl. I was trying to be a fair girl. I was trying to be like, I can just be fun and whimsical and do fairs. I can't. I cannot.
How to survive the classroom.
Hey, teacher besties. Welcome to How to Survive the Classroom. I had a very, very long weekend because I am now, and I feel like I have to take a breath before I say this because I never thought this was going to be me. I just feel like, I don't know, when we are imagining ourselves as parents, we have this image of who we're going to be and how that's going to happen. And I do have to tell you guys that I am a soccer mom. And it's hard for me to say it. It's hard for me to say it out loud, to acknowledge it and to be okay with it. Because, and I know so many people love soccer so much. I historically have not enjoyed being a spectator of soccer games. They are so long. And when it's not your kid playing, you're kind of like, okay. And watching soccer on TV has never really captured me either. I didn't grow up in a soccer family. Like it was always basketball for me. And so my daughter has been begging to play soccer. And I'm like, okay, fine. So I put both my kids in soccer. And I have to tell you guys, it is a whole different thing when it's your kids that are playing. And then on top of it, number one, my son is not into it at all, but he's also 5 now. So the first couple of games he didn't even finish. But that's so on par with all the rest of the kids. It's so funny watching these soccer games because all the parents are there for the 5-year-old teams and half the kids don't finish the game because they start crying and leave or they just sit down on the grass, which has been my kid so far. The first game, my son left the game halfway through and just went and sat on my husband's lap and was like, I'm done. He hasn't finished most of his practices because he's just like, this is so much work and all of that. But on Saturday, he finished the game, and 100% of the credit goes to his pre-K teacher because she actually came to his game, which was so insanely sweet. Their school to where the game was is 40 minutes. And she came, and it was raining, by the way, for half of the day. And she came and saw my son's game and my daughter's game. It was just so genuinely kind and sweet of her to go out of her way to do that. And my son was you could tell, he had been in the game, he hadn't scored any points. The other team was so much better than our team. And my son was just starting to assume the posture of quitting. His arms were crossed, his shoulders were slumped, and he was just standing in the field. And then he looked over and saw his teacher and lit up from within. And it was so, so sweet. And it just reminded me of the times that I would try and go to my students' performances or their games or anything like that, and how you could see it, right? That stuff matters, showing up matters. And I feel like that's one of the first things that kind of goes away when we start to feel like we're burning out because we want to be able to show up there for our families, for our kids, and all of that. And that is obviously the priority. But I think that's one of the things that goes away first for us is our ability to kind of be there at these other events and stuff like that. And it was so encouraging to see her able to do that and she brought her daughters with her who also know my son because my son he's got a reputation, he's got a reputation for being a bit of a character. And so everyone kind of knows him around the school and everything. And it made my day. And then she ended up coming to lunch with us afterwards, and we bought her lunch and stuff as a thank you because she spent her Saturday and then stayed for my daughter's game. And so it was just incredible. I just wanted to highlight a way that a teacher is making an impact in my life as a mom and as a parent because it makes such a huge difference when teachers are doing the things. So I appreciate that so much. I have something complete left turn. Okay, that was wholesome moment of the day, and now we're going to talk about what is wrong with our eggs. Not ovarian eggs. I'm talking about the eggs from our chickens in the United States. Okay, so when my husband and I went to the UK over the summer, There was a couple of things that we noticed that the UK does like so well. So public transportation, incredible, right? They know what they're doing with the train system and all of that kind of stuff. Phenomenal. Something else they do really well is like grab and go food. Like all the markets there have like deli meat and like cold cut sandwiches that are like trustworthy and good. And one of the things that my husband and I both got a couple of times was like an egg salad sandwich, which is not normally something I would get from a gas station because I don't want giardia, right? And so I'm like, okay, we're gonna get these egg salad sandwiches. We were really running late one time. We got on the train, grabbed the sandwiches, and we get on the train and I'm like, I don't want to eat this egg sandwich on a train because it's going to stink, right? It's going to smell so terrible. And I was so nervous about doing this because I'm like, okay, surely this is going to smell terrible. But I was so hungry. I was like, I'm so sorry, everyone else. I've got to do this. I opened the package and I realized that the egg salad sandwiches didn't smell. And I started thinking about that and I'm like, well, that's weird because usually egg salad tends to smell. It smells like sulfurous, right? And so then we get to my friends. There's this British couple we stayed with when we were in town, and we know them from meeting them on vacation and stuff. And we were hanging out with them, and I'm like, "Do your eggs not smell?" And they're like, "What are you talking about, you psycho?" And I was like, No. Like when you hard boil an egg and then you crack it open, it has like a smell. And they're like, does it? And I'm like, yes, like it smells so sulfurous. And I cannot figure it out. I've Googled it. And some people say it's because of the pesticides that we spray on our eggs or something like that. But like, what? I don't understand. But it's like the inside of the egg. It's not the outside. It's only after you've cracked the egg open. So is it the pesticides that are getting like, but why would there be pesticides on the eggs? I don't know. I need all of my FFA teachers to please let me know because this has been bothering me so much. Why do our eggs smell like that? And if I got like farm fresh eggs, would they still smell? Is it like American eggs that stink or is it like farm factory? Because I've also done eggs that are from elsewhere and I have been dying to ask. I just need to know because it is so weird to have been there and literally had hard boiled eggs in various forms several times. It never smelled, not a single time. So, future farmers of America and family and consumer science teachers, I need to know about this. If you guys could, you know, just send me a little note, let me know what it is that is making the egg smell. I need to know because now I need to know if I have to like go out of my way to go and find a farmer's market or something, which honestly wouldn't probably be that far out of my way because I live in Indiana now, but anyways, that is all I have for you for life updates. I just really needed to have that little vent session about the eggs because it's a real problem in my life. My son really likes hard-boiled eggs and they stink so bad. So, without further ado, I really want to know what is going on in all of your lives. I am absolutely loving the voice memos you guys are sending me. I just chef's kiss. So, let's jump in to the first voice memo.
The craziest thing that I've ever experienced in my 26 years of being a high school English and creative writing teacher was being told we need to endure not having any running water, including toilets and sinks. Eventually, the students got sent home at noon, but teachers needed to stay all day till 3 o'clock. And we were told we could walk on over to the library or drive to fast food nearby if we needed to use the toilet.
Okay, I don't know if anyone else could hear the water trickling in the background of that video. But the irony of that is real poignant that she's talking about not having running water and it sounds like she has like a fish tank or like water trickling in the background. She's like, screw you guys. I think I talked about this on one of my previous episodes, but that happened here in the county that I work in where a teacher reached out to me and told me and said, "Hey, Andrea, I don't know if you're aware of this, but we're not going to have water on at the elementary school." And I talked about how like that teacher then like they had to fill up buckets and just kind of make do. I mean, so I don't think that the kids at the elementary school near me ended up having a half day either. I think that it ended up being like a full day of school. I think that is one of the things that people don't recognize or realize when it comes to like maintaining these buildings and all of that kind of stuff is that when we're talking about improvements for these schools, we're not always talking about aesthetic improvements. We're talking about making sure the water is running. Um, this same teacher who had the water shut down, that same school last spring, when it got really, really hot, it was like 85 degrees inside of these buildings. Because these buildings, again, in this area are like 100 years old. She had messaged me and said, like, hey, we don't have AC in these buildings, and they're having us come in to school with these kids. And the AC is not working. And like, that is not doable. Like, I don't know if you guys are the same way as me, but I literally cannot function if I'm hot. Like, I get so grumpy. In fact, this last summer, my husband was like, "Oh, it's going to be so fun. There's a fair in town." First of all, mm, I'm not a fair girl. I was trying to be a fair girl. I was trying to be like, I can just be fun and whimsical and do fairs. I can't. I cannot. Fairs Fairs are the Dollar General of outside events. I hate it. The food wasn't even good because if I'm going to be at a fair, I want to eat something that's like deep fried and disgusting and going to clog my arteries or put me into a diabetic coma. Nope. Nope. It wasn't even good. Wasn't even good food. And the lines were long and I hate it. And it was hot. It was 95 degrees. And I'm trying so hard to be cool because my husband is from the Midwest and I don't know what is happening in his body when we are out in those situations, but he is able to still think logically. I hate so much everyone and everything in existence around me when I am at a fair. I don't want to breathe the air. I don't want to exist in the vicinity. I don't care. And we went with people and they were our friends and I hated them. I hated myself. I love my children, but that day it was tough. It was tough that day. A perfect encapsulation of this experience was I was standing in line to go onto a roller coaster because I love roller coasters. And I was like, you know what? It's fine. I probably won't die on this roller coaster. And it was one of those roller coasters that like goes in a revolving thing. And while I'm waiting in line, I'm looking up at top while they're like letting people down because it's one of those where like the people at the top have to wait at the top while the people on the bottom are like getting off the roller coaster and then they rotate it down. So I'm watching that. And while I'm looking up at the top, I just see someone spew chunks from the top and sprinkle down. And there was a couple taking a selfie like near the like in the vicinity. And I see the girl start going like wiping her face because the chunks were raining down upon her, betwixt her hair. And I was like, someone just puked. And they like ran, but it was too late because she got puked on. And then after that couple at the top puked, and she's like covered, right? Like she's got it on her, it's on the thing. The fair workers didn't even wipe off the chair that she was in before loading in the next person. I was like, I'm done. I'm not sitting in this. I'm not going on this roller coaster. That's absolutely not happening. Um, that's a perfect encapsulation of how I feel every single time that it's hot. Even if no one's puking around me, I feel like people have been previously puking around me. You know, does that make sense? Do you feel that in your soul? Because that is every single time my experience. And thankfully, I have not been forced to teach in an experience in a situation where the water has been shut off or the heat has been shut off for long periods of time. In University Hall where I work at Indiana State, the heat went off or the AC went off like last week because they had to fix something. Canceled class. Immediately canceled class. Because I'm a professor and that's what I can do now. And I'm like, nah. And then it still wasn't good by the next Monday. And I was like, all right, guys, hey, welcome to class. We're going to all go outside and work outside because it was too hot. I was like, I can't do this. I cannot function. So thoughts and prayers for all of you teachers out there that are having to work under duress because that's what it is. I feel like that's terrorism to make people work in a situation where there is no fresh water or the ability to go to the bathroom or air conditioning. So thoughts and prayers for you guys as you trudge through that experience. Okay, let's listen to the next story that was sent in.
So I've had a lot of weird experiences, but one that I can remember is just from last year when I was teaching a fourth grade class. And there was one particular student who was just really struggling. I really loved him and adored him, but he just struggled. We had to evacuate the room a few times because he was pretty out of control. Anyway, things were calming down. And one day in about January or February, we were all working quietly at our desks. I was working with small groups. And because it was writing was a particularly challenging time to hold our concentration and stamina. And one of my students, this one student who was struggling, went to the front of the room and raised his arms to the sky, broke out his peace fingers, and said, "I'm not going to lie. I like big dicks." It was odd. How do you respond to that?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I sorry, that was like an emphysema cough. Sorry, guys, I'm getting over being sick. How do you respond to that? I would actually love to hear from you guys. If you had a fourth grader, okay, fourth grade, fifth grade, you're like 10 years old. So this kid is like 8 or 9 years old and comes up and like does like the Nixon peace fingers at the front. Whew, I think my first instinct if I'm like just going with what my heart says, my heart of hearts, I'm probably just gonna say out, get out, stand in the hallway. Because you know that the kids would lose it, right? Just absolutely unhinged, cackling. And that was always my biggest struggle as a teacher. It wasn't when I could feel something like getting ready to happen. Like that was never the problem. If I had time to think about it before I could react to these situations, I feel like I could somewhat be an adult and all of that. It's situations like that where it's so out of left field, it's so completely unhinged that I would be like, oh, mm, and I would laugh before my brain could catch up. Like my prefrontal cortex wouldn't be kicked on yet. You know, it takes a second sometimes for me. And so I would laugh and then I would unfortunately have to deal with the behavior as well. And I'm trying to think if I ever had a student. I mean, there would be things like this where, like we talked about on a previous episode, where this guy was like, "Hey, are you okay?" And then she's said that she like had slept with some chick's boyfriend and all of that. Like, it's so out of left field that you're like, you, uh, uh. Yeah. So I would probably say out. I did that so often. In fact, my first year teaching, when I had kids that would say out of pocket stuff because I was so dumb. You guys, don't do this. Please don't do this. Okay, so my first year teaching, I told my students that I didn't think it was fair. I didn't think it was fair for me to write someone up if I laughed. And I know, objectively, that was a dumb thing to say out loud. I could think it, you can think it in your head, but you don't tell them that because if you tell them that, then they are going to see that as a challenge and be like, cool, as long as we make her laugh, we're golden. And I fear that is the message that they received. And so some of the things that I probably should have written up in that first year, I maybe didn't because I had made that declaration early on in my teaching career. And I mean, they would say some of the wildest things, and I was like unprepared. And that's the problem with some of the things that these kids will say is they will say something so out of pocket. I think I've told you guys about the Raisin Man story before where and he was the worst at this because he would say things that were so absolutely absurd and inappropriate and out of control and I would always laugh. And so the perfect encapsulation of this is when he was throwing raisins at me in class, but he was hiding it so I didn't realize it was him and then he hopped up on his desk and told me you can't catch me, I'm Raisin Man, and then yeeted like a handful of raisins at me. Guys, I got all the way to don't throw raisins. And I started laughing, and everyone was like, she can't write him up for that now. What? Uh, mm, I fear it was a mistake to tell them that you can't write somebody up if you laugh about it. Realistically, if I have students that do that, I now that I'm a more adultier adult than I was when I started teaching, I number one, do not tell students that if I laugh, I won't write them up because that's inaccurate. Um, I will document behaviors. I will oftentimes send students to the hallway where their audience is gone, and I will have that conversation without an audience. There's no way I'm going to have that conversation with the kid with the peace signs in front of the class because everyone is going to be so unhinged at that point. I would need to calm down. The class would have to calm down. That kid would have to be outside in the hall and have the conversation of like, hey, buddy, I love your spirit. And this is how I would always do it. By the way, every time I have a hallway chat with my students, I would always take them out and be like, hey, buddy, okay, you're so funny. I love who you are. I love what you bring to the class. Assuming that he was doing it for attention, which it very much sounds like he was. Um, I love your spirit. I love how much you lead the class and you're so entertaining, but I got to have you on my side, right? Like I can't have you doing that stuff while I'm trying to teach, long division. Okay? So I'm going to need us to agree that that can't really happen again. And kind of get them on that side. I really tried to avoid in those hallway conversations coming at them and being like, what is wrong with you? There were times, right? I for sure did that. There were times, but I would always try and have the hallway chat where I'm like, hey, buddy, love you so much. Love who you are. Love what you bring to the table. It's so great. But could you not? And I would say 9 times out of 10, that would address the issue. I might also was send, and that would be the moment when I'm in the hallway with them. I'd be like, hey, also, I'm going to have to fill in the blank, whatever the consequence is, whether that is call home, whether that is a consequence that is like for real. I would always have that conversation and be like, all right, guy, like I do in fact have to call your mom and tell her that you said that. I'm so sorry. Unfortunately, that behavior is not something that can just stop with this conversation. I've got to like pass it along. And that a lot of times would be really helpful too. With like the, it removes the onus off of me where like I'm mad at you. It's like, unfortunately, that behavior dictates this. And so when you have those conversations and you manage to do it in a very like calm way where it's like, I'm on your side. I love the vibe and all of that. I fear you made a mistake with this one and you went too far. So I'm going to have to do XYZ. And that really helped maintain the relationship, which was always very, very important to me, especially with those kids that are doing things for like the big flash and the big like trying to get attention and all of that kind of stuff. I always would want to come back and be like, hey, but also let's make sure that you and I still have a relationship. And I'm not mad at you. I love you. I think you're great. I thought it was really funny, even sometimes, but not appropriate, right? We got to pick our battles, pick the times that we're gonna try and do those jokes. And in the middle of long division is not the time, it turns out, to make that joke, right? So that's how I usually handle those types of situations. And it got so bad in my first year teaching that when a kid would say something out of pocket, the other kids would just go hallway, hallway, because that's what I would say. And they'd say it before me sometimes. And I'm like, oh, dang it. So yeah, try and make it a little bit less obvious when you're asking him to go in the hallway. I usually would walk up and not make it a big thing between me and that kid. Like in that situation, I'd be like, hey, I need you to go step in the hallway real quick. And then have that chat on the side. But I have a really cool resource I want to talk to you guys about, and we will get to that right after this break. All right. Hey, teacher besties, and welcome back. I want to talk to you guys about something that you guys probably are pretty familiar with if you've been in the classroom for a while. If you aren't, then I do want to point it out. It is DonorsChoose.org. And again, this is not sponsored, nothing like that. It's just something that I personally benefited from several times when I was a high school teacher, where I would have a series of books that I really, really wanted to purchase. A great example of this, I was doing, trying to rework a novel unit. And we really, really wanted to do like a dystopian novel unit at the end of 10th grade. We thought it would be super, super fun where each group is going to choose a different dystopian novel they wanted to read. But we didn't have a lot of dystopian novels at the school, and we didn't have the funds to buy the dystopian novels. And so what I did and what the rest of the team did is we all put together a list of dystopian novels that we would want to read with our 10th graders. And keep in mind, at this school, I was teaching like 230, no, not that many, 210 kids, I think, were on the roster, which meant like day to day, you got a little less than 200 there each day, right? So we needed a lot of books. Each grade at this school had like 800-ish kids in it, right? So if the 10th grade team was going to do this, we needed 800 books. That's a lot of money, right? And it's just not in the budget. And so we can't ask the parents to buy these books because we are in a low income school district. And so what we would do is we would come together and be like, okay, everyone go on to DonorsChoose and everyone create this description for the books that we want. And DonorsChoose is a nonprofit. And if you're at a public school or a private school, either way, they will, or a charter school, it allows you to do it with any of those schools. And it will allow the teachers to create an account for the school. It will require that you have your name, your real school, and what you actually want to purchase. So, unlike some other like GoFundMe sites and stuff like that, DonorsChoose is entirely like transparent on what you're going to purchase for these schools and for these teachers. So, for example, when I did the dystopian novel, I said I'm getting 5 book or like what was it? I think I got like 12 of Dry, which is a really good dystopian novel, by the way. Dry. And then we were going to do 12 of another book and 12 of another book. So people could come on and they could say, oh, I love that book. I'm going to buy a copy of these books for her class. And then I would get notified. And you can go through, and it doesn't just come through for your district or people who you share the ads or share the link with. It will become available for like anybody who goes on DonorsChoose.com. And you can go on DonorsChoose.com and you can search by area. You can search by subject matter. You can search by like different types of projects. And so as I'm recording this, it's a little bit early. So right now it's actually Teacher Appreciation Week as I'm doing this. So something I'm doing in my Instagram stories this week is I'm sharing, highlighting some teachers from my local community and some of the projects that they want funded, right? And so there's like one that is looking at getting some board games for indoor recess. And there's another that's trying to get books for her kids and all of that kind of stuff. So these are not like, I would say a vast majority of the projects that are on DonorsChoose are not like, oh, this would be a really cute thing to have in my classroom, although there's nothing wrong with those types of projects. A lot of it is like, I need pens and paper and books for my students to read. Like, those are the types of things that are up there to get funded. It's completely free for teachers to use. So you can go up there, you can put information up there from your class. It also will encourage the teachers and their classes to write thank you notes to donors or write like an update or post a picture and be like, hey, we got our books. Thank you guys so much. And so it does a really beautiful job of highlighting the community aspect of something like this. And I know there's a lot of people that are critical with how money is spent in school districts and stuff like that, whether or not they're fully aware of how that money is being spent. But this is a really transparent way for us as community members to literally see a need and meet a need in your local community and in your local school. So rather than just like wringing our hands, especially, this is more, I guess, to my non-teachery audience that hangs out with me, that obviously cares about education because you're listening to this podcast. This is a really cool way that you can be like, oh, I did a thing, right? And because it's a nonprofit, it's also tax deductible. So you also have that. But it is a really cool way that we can be like, oh, well, what are you doing to support teachers? Actually, I just funded a project. Or you could share a project. Like, even if you can't fund it yourself, maybe you can share a project that you think is really cool. And if you're a teacher, even in the summer, which I know is when this is going to go live, that's a perfect time to take a look and say like, okay, what do I need for my class this fall, and get it funded. And then you will just get like a massive box of things. I've had it a few times where I got stuff funded before I started influencing, before I started doing all of this. I was able to get stuff funded. So it's not like you need a huge platform to get it funded. A lot of times you get stuff funded and it's by people you don't know. A lot of times it's anonymous gifts. It's all of that. So if you've never been on DonorsChoose.org, if you have never funded anything on DonorsChoose.org, they a lot of times will also have like a little ticker of like, hey, this is coming to the wire and it only needs $10 more to get funded. And you can just pop in there, fund something, buy someone like basically what would cost it like a coffee or whatever and have it funded, which is really, really cool. So that's what I'm doing this week for Teacher Appreciation Week is I'm trying to highlight a couple DonorsChoose projects in my local community. Um, and on that same note, I am really, really trying to find ways to support teachers. And one of the ways I'm doing it is as I'm doing my live shows, I am getting the Amazon wish list or DonorsChoose list from teachers in the communities where I'm performing. And so going into the shows that I have over the next month, which by the time this happens, my Kansas City shows and my San Diego show will have already happened. But I do have a Philadelphia show coming up in July. And then I've got Arizona and Irvine, California coming up in August. And we've got these shows happening. And before the show, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put together a slideshow of like 5-ish teachers. So it's going to be first come, first serve. And it's going to be priority given to teachers who are coming to the show, teachers who are in their first 3 years of teaching, who have a DonorsChoose or an Amazon wish list that they need fulfilled. And the slideshow before the show is going to be like, that ASPCA spot where it's like Sarah McLachlan and she's talking about the sad puppies, but you guys are the sad puppies. And so I'm going to have these first 3-ish year teachers, new teachers, picture of them, a QR code to their thing. So while people are waiting for the show to start, they could potentially contribute to a teacher in their local community. And then the days after those shows, I'm going to be also sharing it on my Instagram stories so that people from the broader community could give to these teachers as well. And I do have to keep it to 5 teachers per show just because otherwise it's a bit much. But I am very, very excited about that. And I'm always looking for ways to help support teachers and love on you guys who are in the trenches and getting ready now for a brand new school year and all of that. Unless you're in Australia, because Australia has a different school summer than we do. Their summer is cold and they're like working all summer. And I know I have some friends over in Australia that are like, we are not on our break right now. So I love you, my Australian listeners, teachers, and all of that. So yeah, just a couple of different ways that I am trying to work with you guys to help support teachers. So keep an eye out for those. I do post it in my stories on Instagram as often as possible about my shows and the the Google form that I use to help collect all of that information. Also, if you would like to join our Patreon, I don't know why Patreon was a hard word for me to get to. Patreon. We have Those Who Can Read book club with Denver, and it is so much fun. We talk about all of the tea. We talk about the books that we're reading, and it is absolutely the best time. And we do a live, which is incredible. So please join that. It's $5 a month. So basically it's like we're getting coffee together once a month. Okay. So you can go to patreon.com/those who can read. And if you have thoughts about this episode or resources or stories you want to share with me, you can go to podcasterandrea.com. We've got the little voicemail section. So you can tell me about the chaotic things that are happening in your classroom. I absolutely want to hear about them. Or if you need advice, I am always here to try and help you out and be your teacher bestie. And if you just want to reach out, you can email us, Andrea@human-content.com or Educator Andrea on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and all the places. Or you can contact the whole Human Content Podcast family at Human Content Pods. And thank you guys so much for those of you who have been leaving reviews. It just fills my whole heart with all the happiness and joy, which I didn't think was possible anymore because I thought it was just nothing but dust, decay, and criticisms and sarcasm left in that little soul of mine. So thank you guys so much for filling it with something else other than, despair and sarcasm. I appreciate that. It's nice. It's nice to change things up a little bit. If you want to see the full video episodes, they are up every week on YouTube. Thank you so much for listening. I am your host, Andrea Forkham. Our executive producers are Andrea Forkham, Aaron Corney, Rob Goldman, and Shanti Brooke. Our editor is Andrew Sims. Our engineer is Jason Portizo. Our music is by Omer Benzvi. Our recording location is Indiana State by College of Education. To learn more about our How to Survive the Classrooms program, disclaimer, and ethics policy, and submission, verification, and licensing terms, you can go to podcasterandrea.com. How to Survive the Classroom is a Human Content production.
How to survive the classroom.
Thank you so much for watching. Want more of How to Survive the Classroom? You can watch more episodes right now. Just click on that little box over there. You see it? And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. Okay, bye.